Hello and welcome to Trev Talks Tech. I've just realised I've not filmed an intro for what comes next, so this is it. And I'm using the internal microphone on the new dji Osmo Pocket 4 gimbal camera. And this video is going to be all about that. And I'm also going to feature a small project that I was working on to revive a lovely old little bit toy that I was using for photography many years ago, and has now found a new use as entertainment for my new granddaughter. So let's get into it. So this is the dji Osmo Pocket 4 Creator Combo. I bought this today from Jessop's. It was the usual retail price of $549, but it's not just a camera for that. For the extra about £100, you're getting some additional accessories as well. And we're going to be talking about this and using it in videos, but it's a new gizmo, and inevitably that means an unboxing. So let's get going. There is a pull tab, thankfully. There is a pull tab at the back here, which enables you to make a start on getting the cellophane off. Let's put that to one side. And the cellophane is nonetheless quite resistant to the idea of coming off. Whoops, that was the thing. Okay, there we go. And yes, what they really should have done, if they were serious about having some kind of easy removal of the cellophane, would be to put a little reinforced plastic line through it as well. Never mind, here we are. So that's better, and also it's taken the shine off from the lights. So let's carry on. Let's take this out of here and see what we have. Okay, bring the box to one side, and let's just pull out the things. So obviously it looks like we've got a case there. And another case here, and it looks like just about everything is actually in the case itself. There's one more small plastic bag that which contains the inevitable sticker set that you get from everything, and a basic, what looks like certainly the safety information, whatever, that they are obliged to put with this and print. Okay, so let's put the case and the other thing to the side for now, and let's have a look inside the packaging. Got these lovely soft plastics edge adhesive little bags here, which are good, I guess, for various uses if you don't want to put the product back in them. And there we go. I've got a little card on here as well. There you go. That's a bit of excitement on this channel, isn't there? There we go. Let's open this up. The case is very similar. I've got here this is the microphone set. This is the DJI Mic 2, and the case is very similar, just a top opening like so. So let's get this out now and have a look. And we have some more little soft plastic cases containing a couple of mufflers with different colours. I'm supposed to be one microphone in here for that. That's a tripod adapter. Then we have a magnetic microphone set, and that looks very much like it's going to be the microphone in there. On top of which we have what looks like another adapter as well. Let's delve a bit further into this, and we've got part of that's a bit of tripod section, and loads of bits. That's a real Christmas that unwrapping this. So we've got the little wrist strap there, yet another USB-C cable to join the ever-expanding collection of such things, and there is what looks to be something to go on the end of the camera lens. And we have not finished yet in this part of this section, because there is a charging cable as well, and it's got a little multi-pin charging end. Curious to see what that is. It doesn't look standard in any way, at least not at the multi-pin end. Oh, and some silica as well, keep everything dry. Probably leave that in there. And of course the actual unit itself. So that's all the things taken out of the main case. I'm just going to put the main case to one side for now. Well, let's have a look at the individual things. Oh, as we're taking things out of bags, I will also remove the overall case, this case as well. And that's the Osmo bag there. So, okay, so it's got a little going away. That's a little handy case as well as the slightly larger one, and that kind of begs the question, what might that be for? So let's get these going. First of all, we've got the main feature here, and this has a few little removable sections here. This is all to cover up all of the nice stuff. There are the little just all the bits and pieces to do with the camera's gimbal and what have you. It's got a display protector there. Let's just put that onto the side, and it's got a protector there for the nice sort of grippy section there, which is going to help you grip with your thumb while you are working with this. And I'll take this on off the side of the gimbal. Obviously some areas where they felt there was some kind of problem, and that is actually the gimbal lock on there. So that's also the bit that and a little connector on there, as you can see, little connector on there. And so that's clearly the unit that is designed to actually keep the gimbal in place. So let's just carefully remove that, and there is the camera. We've got another little removable tape here that needs to come off and out from underneath there, and I think that's everything now. And the camera, the camera also more of these. The camera also has a removable tape too. There we go. That's just I think I'm right in saying now that is actually everything. So that's the main camera. Let's just have a look at what the other things are here. Now, while I'm just undoing this, you may be wondering, so I've already got a number of different cameras. Why this camera? Because because it has a built-in facility for tracking faces and the like, and I can see many applications where that would be useful. I do have the mobile gimbal. The problem with the mobile gimbal is that it's powered by the phone itself that you attach to it, which makes it incredibly power hungry. That my phone is absolutely boiling by the time I've finished using the gimbal. And obviously it also drains a lot of power from it, so it's not always the best thing. It may have other uses. I will keep hold of it. I bought it second hand at a CEX shop, and so really I don't feel I've lost much. I haven't lost anything. I'll use it again at some point. Okay, so taking out this other little bag, there is this comes with a light fitting. I don't think I have to be a scientist to recognize that light fitting is designed to clip magnetically onto the back of the Osmo there. There we go. Just pops straight on the back there, and that's going to power this device from there. Obviously it's totally optional to have that, so I can leave that off. So we've got the tripod there, the little tripod base. We've got the excuse me. We've got the gimbal. We've got the main unit. And if I just open this up, and in here is the tripod adapter with yet another piece of protective plastic, because we've got another rubber surface here to help with putting everything together. And that simply that just slips onto the base here and it's captured. There's no additional battery or anything in this. It is quite simply to give the camera a little bit more grip, and it also provides a base for the tripod. So I can let's just get the tripod screwed in there. There we go. And that's the whole thing. You can see they're sitting upright on its tripod. I will put at the end of this video, I will do another little sequence with the unit itself, with it all working. So additional things that come with this. Well, the light was one of them. That was an extra. So what you're paying, that's what you're paying the extra for the combo. We've also got this dji microphone, standard microphone at DMT03. Is that the actual microphone type? DJI Mic 3. There you go. So that's a DJI Mic 3 that with its own everything, it seems, comes with a small label or protector that has to be removed. There you go. That's another one of those, and that very clearly, that looks like it fits magnetically to the this particular cable. So let's take that out of the bag as well. There we go. And yeah, that cable there with those pins in there, if you can just see that, then that's going to fit a certain way round. Magnetically, it's actually magnetically impossible to leave that sat the wrong way round. It has to be like this, and there you go. So that's the microphone on its charging base. I need to be very careful not to lose that particular USB-C cable, as it's so proprietary to that microphone. So as our microphone light, I don't think I'm going to bother unwrapping the handy strap. I'm sure you all know what they look like. Likewise, there is a small mount here for the microphone, which has a magnet with a DJI detail on it. Let's just bring this out of here. Go on, let's live. There you go. So that's the DJI little clip-on for the microphone, which clearly will go on here. And there it is, a rather strong magnetic base for that as well. Wow, what a lot of things. And we're not done yet. We've got a small I know obviously I haven't read the manual yet, but I'm doing what most of us would do in the first place, just unwrapping everything and trying to work out what it is. I've got a small, that's what appears to be adapting lens to the unit as well. Oh, I'll tell you what, that obviously does need some protection, and I'm going to put it back in the bag from whence it came, because it looks like it might be prone to getting dust or scratches on it. And the so the final things are, that don't really need unwrapping, are the USB-C cable here for charging up the main unit, and there's a couple of mufflers for the microphone. Here we go. That's just going to clip on the top. So we've got a choice of plain black, or if you are wanting to, but if you want to look like you've got a scale model of a hedgehog that's on you, then you can also use this grey one here. Possibly also camouflage if you have a long beard the same colour. You never know, that you might be able to hide this in among it. Very, very, very soft and fluffy. Well, if they made toys out of that, you just want to keep hugging them, because it's very, very very soft. Of course, that's what helps to regulate the breeze going past it. So there you go. That's really the complete unboxing process, and I'll be back in a little while with a demonstration video of this. We'll power it up and then the last segment of this video will be a taken on the unit itself, and you can see that the sort of thing I bought it for. Okay, so let's have a look at this. Now, I've got a couple of cameras on the go here, and I've got a little project I've been working on, and really I'm just using this as an excuse to use the Osmo. I've got the dji Mic 3 on my t-shirt here, fairly close. It looks further away from my mouth on the camera than it really is, but it's only actually like a hand span away from my chin, so it's actually not very far. I've also got another camera up here which is just looking at the screen. So yeah, it's an excuse just to try the whole thing out. Now obviously I'm not moving around very much, so in a way you could say that it you know, why would I need an actively tracking camera for that? Well, truth is I probably don't. But and this is, at the end of the day, a little window I might stick in the corner of the main video featuring what I'm doing down here. And what I'm doing down here is putting back together an old toy. Now, a little bit of backstory. Last week, my stepdaughter and her baby daughter as well were over here, and she'd bought a long bubble a bubble pipe at ones with a big blower that you can get lots of bubble liquid onto and blow lots of fun bubbles and everything about the place. And yeah, we were taking some nice photos, and baby was kind of really, if not smiling at the bubbles, she was certainly intrigued by them and looking at all the pretty colours moving around close to her. So you know, that was nice. Anyway, I then went into my workshop here because I know that tucked away I had a little gizmo that I'd had for many years, and I bought it to do some photography with, which is a little bubble gun. And the idea is that you take your bubbles like this. You could see them at both cameras there. You take the little bubbles that was filled up with bubble fluid, and it would screw into the front of this gun. And what the gun basically does, it acts like a little bit of one of those hospital pumps. I'm going to bring this up close to the camera to see whether the camera's going to focus in on that. Not very well, but there you go. What it does is it rotates a bit like one of those blood recirculating pumps that you get in medical in applications, and it's rotating a couple of bearings against a pipe, so it's gradually feeding fluid, pushing fluid through and dragging more fluid up behind it. It's remarkably effective. Doesn't really even need priming. You can kind of yeah, it seemed to work pretty well without any initial priming somehow, which is hard to do on this actually. Anyway, so that pipe pushed it up. So when you press the trigger, it starts a motor. The motor operates as a little worm gear on it. Here it is. It has a little worm gear, and it operates the pump, the little motor gear pump here. And it also has a little flat fan inducting air into it. And obviously that's blowing air out of the duct at the end here. Now, on the end of this, I'll keep showing both cameras here. On the end of this, there is a little pipe. Now, where's that gone? Oh, it's this bit attached to it here. So this, when it's LED, basically sits in front, sits about here. And this little green bit, sorry, I'll bring it up close so you can see, this little green bit just here, that wipes up and down in front of the tube and basically creates a film of bubbles, a film of liquid across the edge, film of bubble fluid that's being fed in by the pump mechanism. So if you keep sort of gently squeezing the trigger, it keeps on wiping a film of bubbles across the front. And obviously then with the fan behind it, you're going to generate some bubbles. And this is actually quite prolific. It's for a cheap little toy, and I can't remember where I bought it from, probably one of those Mankind type shops. For that, it will work pretty well. Added to which, It's got a little chip on here. It's got a little LED set. There's 3 LEDs on here, and there's one which is on the end there. So in low light, you could also get some little effects off of this as well. Now, all of that runs off of three AAA batteries. And yeah, and it's all held inside this perspex case. Now, I haven't really used this in any applications for years and years. It's just been sitting around with me thinking I really ought to do a shoot with that again. But of course, the bubble fluid is not very well contained, and it has actually, I don't know if you can even see that in either of the cameras, it's actually corroded the battery terminals. So, and it was in a bit of a poor state generally. There's a little torsion spring on here. Again, you can probably barely see that. There it is. This little torsion spring, which is for the trigger mechanism. That's a bit rusty, although it's not too bad. It will survive for the purpose of the exercise. In fact, I've got some torsion springs. I might actually, some stainless steel ones, I might actually replace that with one other one. And the other part I haven't mentioned is the return. So there's this little bucket here. This little bucket feeds, this sits like so on top of the bubble chamber. So you've got the pipe here. The pipe is extracting bubble fluid. I don't think it's meant to be a perfect seal. I don't see how it can be, but well, it isn't, because you've got there's a little hole there. This bucket is for all the waste, as it were, that's bubble fluid that gets to the end and then doesn't really go to making bubbles. It gets recycled down into this little bucket that drops back into this. That's all screwed in like so. And then, of course, you can extract more fluid through the pipe and take it back up again. So it's quite a neat little unit in the way it works, and with the decorations, the LEDs, on it. So it's quite fun. But anyway, yeah, it has suffered a lot with corrosion and bits of, yeah. So I got it working with a bit of judicious scraping of the battery terminals. I got it working briefly the other day, which was fun for baby and everyone, but it didn't last too long, and it's obvious that it just needs a bit of a TLC. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to rebuild it. And also, just like I say, this is giving me an opportunity to show off the Osmo at doing its thing as well, which it's doing very well. Now, a few words about the Osmo, because it has a low light function. Currently, I'm recording in the usual video, and if I go by the screen, going by what I can see on the screen, I don't think I need to do anything else. I don't think the low light function is necessarily important. I need to test the low light function in a different environment. I'll probably take it into the studio and try it there with the low mood lighting in the studio, maybe around the synthesizers and doing a bit of music, stuff like that, and that'll be a fairer test. Anyway, so I'm going to basically get this back together, and also I'm going to actually have a little rundown of the Osmo itself. So on the other camera, that's a Insta360 Action Pro camera, up there, Ace Pro, I should say, Ace Pro camera. I'm going to use that to talk about this camera, ironically, and then we will see where we go from there. All right. So the reassembly is coming on. I haven't got the Osmo running, by the way. I've just used that for the intro section to this. And here's the mechanism sort of put back together to some degree, leaving just the battery compartment. I've got to figure out some wiring to do there and try to rebuild it in a way that's going to work. So here's the motor, and now something I didn't realize, I messed up. I actually put the negative wire from the battery, I soldered it to the motor, I hadn't realized until I went to look at the trigger that what's happening here is that the negative wire from the battery compartment is actually going onto a terminal on the trigger itself. And then you can see this here spring. This spring, when you pull the trigger, two things happen. Firstly, that spring pulls backward and it makes contact with the body of the motor, which provides all the negative terminal side of things. So that connects the negative of the battery and obviously starts the motor, starts the LEDs, and gets the bubble fluid pumping up through this pipe. So that's the motor is driving those gears, and you can just see the pump mechanism there, perhaps. It's all sort of it's got some grease on it to stop the pipe from wearing out too quickly. Remarkably well made, considering that it's just a toy and a cheap one at that. To have all these screws in, to be able to take it apart to the degree it's possible, is actually quite surprising. Anyway, so the motor is turning the gears, that turns the little pump, that's bringing the bubble fluid up through this pipe. So it does seem to work without much in the way of priming, because it's actually bringing little bits of air through, and then it'll sort of self-prime. That's all triggered by that spring there. And that also powers the flashing LEDs, and there's an LED at the front here. And as you pull the trigger, it also, you can see that green bit wiping across there. I hope you can see that. And that green bit is sort of creating the film over the front of this bubble blowing aperture here with another LED. So that's quite pretty good. One thing I had to do is repair this. I remember when I first got this, I tried to screw the bubble container in too tightly, and it turns out if you do that, it actually cracks out the middle of this plastic disc. I thought about 3D printing a new one. At the moment, my sort of CAD skills, and also because that's got a thread on there, probably would have limited my ability to do that very well. So I decided to put that back together, and I've basically done a combination of some 3D printing glue, there you go, and just using the soldering iron to melt across as well, to kind of give it a little bit of welding back together. So I've even managed to get the little torsion spring back in. I'm using the same one, not going to change anything. It's still working perfectly well. So that's where we're at. So the next thing now is to attempt to somehow reconstruct the battery compartment. And the problem I've got here, the main problem I've got here is this corroded terminal. Now, part of this was designed to sit at on here. So when you shut the battery compartment, this terminal presses onto here, and that provides you, I think, with the positive leg. Here's the wire, which is the positive, red for positive, white for negative in this, and there is a completely corroded spring. So that's going to take a little bit more ingenuity and bits of metalwork bending to adjust. I just need a 5-volt power supply, really, would be fine. It's you get almost 5 volts. These are well, yeah, so you're getting 4.5 volts out of these batteries, and so it would probably run quite nicely on a 5-volt supply. I'm half minded to have some kind of little 5-volt power supply in there with a little battery, 5-volt battery, but no, I really don't want to be that bothered with something of as trivial as this. So there you go. That's the part way mark. I need to figure out this bit now, and pretty soon I hope we'll have it all back together. Okay, so what I've done here, in the end, the simplest thing to do was simply to hardwire the simply to hardwire it in place, and so that's what I've done. I had to extend the wire, it wasn't really long enough. Got a little piece of thin, and it's solid wire, which isn't favourite, but I haven't got a lot of thin stranded wire about the place. So there you go. That's done. I just need to put the whole thing back together now and see whether I can get some bubbles out of it. here we go. Now I've just got the thing back in. This is typical me. I've just put the I was just trying to figure out this little bucket at the front here was getting very full of bubble fluid. Nothing was draining back in, and when I looked, there's actually a little nozzle at the bottom of this little bucket, and it was full of gunge, accumulated gunge that had, from rusty components, etc., and things, I guess, inside the unit. So it was actually made to be pulled off. It looks like it actually was designed to be a rudimentary filter. So pulled that off, tapped out the gunge, and that works. It's not working as well as I remember it. That might be my nostalgia at kicking in there, but it's it is nevertheless. Oh, there you go. The important thing you have to do with this is to keep pumping the trigger, because that causes the little wiper to create a new film for the bubbles to be blown from. If you just leave it running, nothing happens. You have to do this, and then you get a wonderful spray of bubbles. So that is absolutely brilliant. I'm finally quite chuffed with that, and all it really took was that, just to remove that rather redundant spring connection that had corroded and to replace it with a hard wire. Everything else has gone back as per, but it was interesting just to take it apart and see all the individual bits. You can see on there, for example, just here, you can see the little medical pump running there, as I want to call it. That works very well, and I say it actually self-primes, which is remarkably good. I guess that's why they use it in medicine. I don't know. So I'm going to round off this little this video with a closer look at the controls of the Osmo Pocket 4. I was very impressed with the way it operated, sat there nicely and tracked what I was doing, and it seemed beautifully clear and everything else, and the microphone worked without a hitch. So very happy with that. All right, well, I'm Trev Talks Tech. This is my workshop. I will see you for the last segment of this video very shortly, and well, straight away to you. And that's that. I am still alive, and I will make more videos about synthesizers and stuff. And I've also got something else rather special coming up, because I've recently acquired a 3D printer, and obviously, as Trev likes to talk tech, the 3D printer has surely got to come into it too, hasn't it? So, hello, welcome back to the studio. Now, in this last segment, I just want to look at the Osmo's facilities. There's loads of YouTube's channels out there already talking about this camera, and you can look into the details. But just want to have a quick run around of its functions all the same. So here I am. I've actually got it. It's on its standard setting right now, and it's on standard 1x zoom. As you can see from the other camera, I'm actually going to rotate the Osmo towards the other camera completely, and you'll see what it's doing. Got it on this little tripod stand, and I've got the active track enabled, so wherever I go, it's going to look for me. It does have a limitation there, however. Obviously, the gimbal, should be noted that the gimbal is a little bit limited in the selfie direction. If I turn the camera around, I think it's a little bit less limited. So the gimbal is biased towards really having the most freedom of movement when it is actually working at, I think, towards the front and pointing away from the screen. There you go. Now you can change those settings. You can make the gimbal work faster or slower, and all that jazz. You know, these are the sort of things that you'd expect to be able to do. But in terms of its general operating, it's very, very easy to do. I've got the full setup here. The tripod requires the little extension to the stand, and that in turn is then plugging into the camera itself. You don't need to have all of that if you just want the very basic. It is useful to have the extra bit of grip if you are holding the camera. And of course, the whole point of a gimbal camera really is that it's easy to hold and move around. So, you know, I can pick it up, and it's rather like I used to have pet chickens, and you could do this with them. You could pick them up and they would keep looking at you, keep eyeballing you, no matter how you held them. They could keep their necks moving. That's a bizarre thing to say, isn't it? Anyway, so, but one thing I wanted to show you on here, when I was doing the unboxing, there's a little lens. Now the lens is a wide angle lens, and it says on the back that, probably can't see the writing there, it says 0.75 times, so it's at it's got slightly wider view, zooming out 15mm. And I'm just going to pop that while we're talking. Just going to pop that straight on the gimbal like so. And as you can see, that has actually, you can see a bit more of my t-shirt now. You can see it's not a huge difference, but it is some. And I'm just by way of example, I'm also going to zoom. That's a 2x zoom on the basic. If I double press, that's a 4x zoom, which is kind of scary to watch. So I'm going to put that back to the 1x zoom. And if I take the lens off, so again, you can see it's made a visible but not really that appreciable amount of difference. It's not like I've got 360 panoramic vision of the whole room now, just because of that lens. Of course, there are plenty of cameras that can give you that, and this is not clearly designed to do that. So what else what else have we got on here? Now I'm going to bring the camera towards me, and in so doing I'm also going to bring it up to the other camera as well. Hopefully you can see me in both of those. So the screen can go portrait or landscape. That also is a way of turning it off. Because I'm recording, it won't suddenly switch off, and it won't change its orientation. But if I were to switch the unit off, and then you would see that. Okay, here I am back in portrait mode, recording away. I'm going to stop that now and go back to landscape. Here we go. Drop that back to landscape, and it's gone back to 4K resolution. Oh, and it hasn't tried to switch off, interestingly, but it has lost the active track on me. So once again, I need to double tap on my face, and you can see that the active track is now enabled. So once again, as I move around, it's keeping a pretty good eyeball on me there. So the usual things apply with this. You've got the swipe down. They all do something like this. They've got a swipe down. I've got the microphone settings you see there. One very good thing that was pointed out in another video I watched was to see that you have the floating at 30-bit float recording on. That seems to improve the audio settings somewhat. It does have the additional light. Oh, I've not demonstrated the light here, have I? That will come up in another video. So I've got the little light to sit on top. Now, at the moment, I'm running in normal video. And again, the studio is actually quite light. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little bit of a segment. I'm going to take the white lights down in the studio, drop those out of the way, and we'll just be left with the sort of the moody, more ambient stuff that goes on in here, and then we'll take it from there. Right, so here we are in the studio in low light. Now this is using the low light mode. I just need to use the joystick to move everything around. That's the radio equipment down there that we'll get to talk about at some point. One of those little Roca wooden puzzles. And yes, here is the other thing that's going to feature in a future video, the Bamboo P2S 3D printer with 2 automatic material units, two AMS2 units. And yes, there's the back of the studio setup, which is what you normally see when I'm recording stuff through there. The gimbal is kind of moving around as I go, and yeah, there's all sorts of bizarre odds and ends here, lots of musical equipment, and we're back to here. So that's in video mode. Now I'm just going to change that to low light. I'm going to stop this and change to low light and see what that does. So I'm now in low light mode. And certainly on the screen here in front of me on the camera, it doesn't look very different. It looks pretty much the same as before, going around all the same bits. It doesn't strike me as any different. Now, I've possibly the light is not actually low enough to make a difference. Let's try turning the light down even further. One moment, please. Okay, that's pretty much all of the studio's mood lighting turned off. That's another one I've got. So all I've got now in the way of lighting is a little bit of lighting creeping around the curtains. I normally have the curtains closed in the studio because I want to control the lighting for photography and the like. And yes, as you can see going around the room, yes, obviously it looks darker. The only other lighting on there is around the studio, the synth studio, and a bit coming from the door. But yeah, that's it. And it's working pretty well, I've got to say. I can't see as well onto the floor, and looking at that tapestry on there, I can't see that as well as this can. I'm going to go back into video mode and just look for the difference. So now I'm in video mode, and the first thing it says to me is enabling low light image enhancement. So actually, it's basically decided for itself. I suppose there might be a setting for this. It's already decided for itself that the conditions are too low to use with the video mode, so it has just put itself in low light mode anyway. Let's just turn around to me. Here we go, and I'm going to see what it thinks of my face, whether it can active track. Yes, it can active track under these conditions. There you go, that's me. It's active tracking me now. Obviously I'm moving with it anyway, but if I just move the gimbal out or move the camera out, there we go. It's keeping me in shot very well, and the light levels, it's dealing with that very well. I'm always a big fan of cameras that work well in low light. It's been my holy grail for ages, because I don't like using bright lights. I don't like using flash in photography, preferably, because I like to introduce very sort of low and moody light sources, things like coloured LEDs and sort of low level halogen or disco type lamps that aren't powerful enough to use as photography lamps, but they do add accent and colour to my photos. So that's the kind of thing I like, and so to have low light facilities is great. Now this is going to be coming on holiday with me in a couple of months' time, and I'll certainly be testing out all of its abilities then as well. So, but I'm going to leave it here. So thank you if you've watched this far. Thank you for watching this far. If you've obviously, thanks to everyone who's watched this video, regardless of which bits of it they've seen. Please remember to like and subscribe. That would mean a great deal to me. I'm only a basic channel. I don't do very much, but I hope you find some interest in the odd, weird and wonderful bits that I do try to do in between my otherwise very busy schedule. And so that's it for now, and I'll see you in the next video.